All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Heroes Connect Military to Manufacturing event. My name is Katie Bowerman, and I oversee our virtual Heroes Make America skill bridge training programs, as well as moderate our virtual events like these. We've taken a few weeks off for summer break, but we are back and ready to start meeting with companies each week to not only learn about what their company makes, but to network with these boots on the ground folks who are resources to you as you navigate this next step in your career and employment search. Manufacturing is such a diverse industry in itself, so events like this help us understand different segments of the industry, as well as help identify different positions of, that make up the crew who are responsible for getting things done at these companies. So from production operators to quality assurance, maintenance, logistics, and all the business functions, these companies have it all. So, all right, you all are in luck today. We have one of our Heroes Make America Association partners, the Plastics Pipe Institute, joining us today. They represent hundreds of companies, and Dave will tell me exactly how many, I'm sure, but in their plastic pipe segment of the industry, which you will learn all about. So they brought with them two of their member companies, Polypipe and Shell Polymers. So you're hearing not only from an association that represents lots of different companies, but also these two specific companies and what they do. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping before I introduce our next speaker. So before we jump into things, like I said, first off, this event is being recorded because we're going to send it out as part of a recap email. Please be sure that you stay muted throughout the presentation just to minimize that background noise so that we have a clean recording. But even though your mics are muted, I still encourage you to be an active participant. Utilize the chat feature during the presentation to drop in any questions that you have. So once all these folks are done presenting on their companies, we'll hold a Q&A session and I'll read off your questions that are in the chat. So go ahead and drop them in throughout the presentation as you think of them. But these types of events are so important because it gives us the opportunity and gives you all the opportunity to join in the discussion and ask questions to these industry leaders who you may not normally have access to. So let's go ahead and practice utilizing that chat feature. So if all of you want to go through your settings right there and click on that chat, what I want you to do is drop in, if you're looking for employment, where are you searching, right? It may not be immediate employment, but when you're about to do your job search, what is that location? City, state, region, whatever it might be. If you're open, remote, drop in the chat so our presenters can see where you are job searching. All right, while you guys are taking care of that, I do want to just briefly highlight the Manufacturing Institute's Heroes Make America Skill Bridge program. So we do have our current students on the call, but we've got other folks who join us, right? So other company representatives, military affiliated participants, community partners from across the country joining us. So if you don't know who Heroes Make America is, we are a DoD approved skill bridge program that is open to transitioning service members, veterans, reservists, guardsmen, and military spouses. So anyone military affiliated can come through our program and earn a variety of different certifications, equipping you with rewarding careers in the manufacturing and supply chain industry. So our students learn things like safety, quality practices, technical trainings like electrical, pneumatic, mechanical, all those types of industrial systems trainings. And we also have logistics and warehouse training. So you can see here our program managers, the different training tracks that we offer, and our upcoming class dates. We'll go ahead and drop in our contact information in the chat box. So if you are interested, you just let us know. Heroes Make America is dynamic, though. So in addition to our skill bridge offerings, we host a variety of virtual events that are open to anyone to participate in. They include these weekly Heroes Connect events. We have different veteran learning series topics, and then we also do in-person and virtual career fairs. So we'll drop in our upcoming events and registration links in the chat for you to check out. So our next virtual career fair is going to be on August 23rd. Registration has not gone live just yet. I think August 1st it goes live, but just keep an eye on our website and that will be posted. And then we've got some upcoming in-person events, one very soon at Fort Cavazos, and then in September and October, we've got Fort Liberty and Fort Stewart. So if you're at one of those locations, set that date on your calendar. All right, without further ado, though, I want to get to the main event. I'm going to pass it on over to Dave at the Plastics Pipe Institute. Dave, floor is all yours.
Katie, thank you so much. And I'm always impressed, being a Northerner, how quickly you can talk, because I get accused of talking very, very quickly. But anyway, thank you for the opportunity here today to present a little bit about who the Plastics Pipe Institute and our membership is. And I'm going to provide an overview and then really turn it over to two of our members here today to give you some more specifics on their member companies. But in general, just giving you an overview, and they'll go through a little bit of their background and maybe even some of their open positions. So that's my outline for today. So we want to go into the next slide, which is PPI membership. really covers North America. So while the vast majority are in the United States, followed by Canada and then Mexico, we literally have member companies with at least a headquarters, or if not a headquarters, operations in every state and province in North America. And our membership is available there on our site if you want to check out who they are. But they make up everybody from pipe and fittings manufacturers, which again is the majority of our group, to resin and concentrate manufacturers. And we have a representative for each of those here on the call today. Equipment manufacturers, and then distributors and consultants, some international affiliates, and professional members. So there's also a video overview of just who PPI is there at the bottom. So if we could go to the next one, please. Looking at a little bit of what we make up. So our divisions are market facing, and these are opportunities that touch each and every one of your daily lives. So everything from our building and construction group, which is hot and cold water plumbing, so the water coming out of your faucet, to some geothermal applications and other systems, to our energy piping systems division. This is everything from oil and gas gathering to natural gas distribution coming to your home. Our drainage division covers everything from stormwater, getting that rain and runoff off the highway to keep you safe when you're driving through a rainstorm, to agricultural applications, to our power and communications group. It's been one of our fastest growing groups since COVID, because none of us had enough Wi-Fi or broadband width during COVID. And there's been federal funding behind that as well to bring broadband to underprivileged or underserved communities. And then last but not least, our municipal and industrial division, which focuses on everything from potable water, wastewater, or sewer, to mining and other industrial applications. So really, if you're trying to move a fluid from point A to point B, we've got a plastic piping solution to meet your infrastructure needs. So with that, if we could go to the next slide. A little bit on just career progression opportunities. And I will highlight this up front because I think it's one of the questions, having done these in the past, that comes up. There is no training that you can go to that will prepare you for any of these opportunities within our manufacturing base. This is going to be, on the job training. So it's not like you need to be an expert in manufacturing a polyethylene pipe to go work for a polyethylene pipe manufacturer. They're going to train you for what you need to know. That said, just some of the progressional opportunities that exist in our manufacturing membership is, for example, coming in at an entry-level line operator, moving your way up into a shift supervisor, and then potentially ultimately even becoming a plant manager. And I will say that most of our member companies, it's not time served before you get that promotion. It's more as fast as you can learn that next skill set and have a willingness to be promoted and to learn, and that open mindset. There's going to be opportunities. This is a growing industry. And like many in today's world, we lack skilled labor. So there are opportunities pretty much in, again, every state and even outside of the United States in our industry. Another one I wanted to highlight, because some of this is the training you may have received either on the job as a veteran or with some of the programs that Heroes does, and that is maintenance. So maintenance technicians are highly coveted. There again, can work up to a supervisor and potentially, production or plant manager. Those of you that worked in logistics and were moving, freight or widgets or assets from point A to point B, these next two really kind of fall into it. And that's everything from shipping supervisor, on up into customer service, or from an administrative standpoint, working up into customer service as well. So a lot of great opportunities. Again, everything from entry level to higher level positions, really based on skills that you may be bringing from your time as a veteran, to just the ability to learn on the job and be trained by any one of our members for upward mobility. Our organization's now over 200 member companies. Pre-COVID, we were around 150. So we were deemed an essential service throughout COVID. So our industry has actually grown, continues to grow. And it's really based on the fact that there's a lot of aging infrastructure out there that needs replaced, in addition to new home builds and industrial and mining and other things that are going on in our country. So I think that probably concludes, for the most part, a little bit of the industry forecast and outlook. And I've touched on some of these. Plastic piping systems are the preferred material. These are replacing steel and concrete and copper and other infrastructure, older infrastructure that's out there. A lot of the United States infrastructure was implemented and installed back World War One, World War Two. So, early to mid 1900s, and that infrastructure is crumbling and failing. So it needs replaced, and plastics present a wonderful opportunity for a cost-effective, non-corrosive, sustainable solution. Expansion of internet, as I mentioned, broadband and telecommunications, and green energy, solar and wind. You need to encase those power cables coming off of there as the power is generated in conduit. So even with the renewables, there's opportunities. And then highways are going to continue to drive demand for drainage and culvert pipes. So if you've seen any of the black or gray plastic ribbed or corrugated pipes that are replacing the concrete, it's because it's a lighter weight, cost-effective, non-corrosive solution. So a lot of great opportunities. Really, the one hurdle that our industry has, again, is labor. So the raw materials are there, the demand is there. It's just, providing our pipeline, pun intended, with those skilled labor and those individuals. They're looking for upward mobility and the ability to learn, be molded, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for those types of individuals. So with that, I now think that concludes a little bit of the industry overview, and I'll go on mute and turn this over to Mark and his colleague Brooke from Polypipe, and they can give you an overview of their company.
Very good. Thank you, David. Well, it is absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Mark Brennan. I'm the CEO of Polypipe, and I'm here with Brooke Harrington. She's the Chief Human Resources Officer from Polypipe. We both come from Houston. I'm in the Woodlands area. She's from Cypress. I saw some of the places people are looking, and that's very interesting because we're right in that area. We're super excited to be here. The jobs we're recruiting for are all in Erwin, Tennessee, and we'll tell you more about that in just a minute. I want to tell you a little bit about our company. Thank you. So Polypipe began in 1983. It's been acquired, it's been divested, but so we almost forget all that. The importance of that is this is not a new business, but the importance is that we've relaunched with an entirely new brand, an entirely new leadership team in 2022. We are located, as I said, Erwin, Tennessee. It's mountainous East Tennessee. It's right near Asheville, North Carolina. It's near Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. It's right on the border there of all three of those states. Beautiful country. And what we do is we make natural gas distribution pipe. So it is plastic pipe that delivers natural gas to people's homes and businesses. We have 7 production lines at our one facility in Erwin, Tennessee. You can see the size of our manufacturing warehouse space and our office space, and a picture of it there on the right-hand side. That yellow and black stuff that you see on the picture is the pipe that we manufacture, that we produce. We have 50 employees here in Erwin, Tennessee. We work 4 shifts. A little unique, but it's the way that we structure it throughout the week because we work 24/7. It's very difficult to shut down an extrusion line, so we work around the clock, 24/7, on 4 shifts to produce this pipe for our customers. Our leadership team, it's important to note, we're a new leadership team since 2022. We're dynamic and new to the business, and some of us new to the industry. All of us have Fortune 500 experience, but we're in a fairly small business. Polypipe is not a large corporate entity. It's a fairly small business. And so we take all of the best stuff from the large Fortune 500 companies. So the best benefits, we have Fortune 500 benefits. We have Fortune 500 expertise and leadership styles here at Polypipe. And we do not have the world-class and large Fortune 500 bureaucracy. So we are very nimble. We're very quick. and we empower our employees to do well, and we reward that. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is a picture that we've created where we say, for polypipe, this is pellets to pipe to people. And it's a very simple diagram that simplifies our process. So we get resin that comes on rail cars, and those rail cars then get pumped into those silos that you can see there in the middle to the left-hand side of the screen, right next to the rail cars. We then blend that with our colorant, and we bring it into our shop. When we bring it into our shop, it goes through a very long extrusion line. So what I like to say, to make it simple, this is how I learned it. I sort of think of the Play-Doh little spaghetti maker, where you crunch down on the Play-Doh and it comes out. The difference is, while the Play-Doh is pushed out, extruded pipe is pulled out. So it's a very long line. You can see that coiler down at the end of the line there, the yellow wrapped up pipe. That is pulling yellow plastic through an entire line that heats and cools plastic through the extrusion line. And then we coil that up, we stack it up, we package it, and we send it on its way to bring, fundamentally, comfort to our customers. Why comfort? Because it brings heat. Heat brings, comfort from cold. It brings fuel for our food that we can eat. So it is fundamentally, we bring comfort to our customers. Let's go to the next slide. We use, there's a book, maybe some of you have read, called Good to Great, written by Jim Collins. And one of the principles of great companies is that they have hedgehog concepts. A hedgehog concept is merely the intersection of three circles. What a company is passionate about, like what drives us, what energizes us, what makes us excited, intersecting with what can we be the best in the world at, which also intersects with what can we make money. And so when we take those three, this hedgehog concept is something that the leadership team at Polypipe reviews twice a year. And this is who Polypipe is right now. Now, I don't anticipate it to change, but we review it twice a year. We are only in the natural gas distribution market. David talked about the different markets for plastic pipe. We only focus on natural gas pipe. This delivers natural gas to homes and businesses. It is the most strict and difficult pipe to make. We're not distracted by other markets, by other industries, by other kinds of pipe. We have one set of governance rules that makes this pipe, and we make sure that we make the best pipe every day. That is our focus. We only make pipe. We don't make fittings. We don't make any of the other stuff. We only extrude pipe. We're a manufacturer only. We don't distribute. We manufacture our pipe only. We only make bimodal polyethylene pipe. You might not know what that is, but that is very unique to Polypipe. Other pipe manufacturers in the natural gas distribution space will make unimodal pipe. We do not make unimodal pipe. And I believe bimodal pipe, and what we tell our customers and what they understand from the facts, is that bimodal pipe is absolutely the best pipe on the market. We only supply in the United States, although we develop plans and will support manufacturing and other opportunities in Canada and Mexico. And our resin only comes from Dow. So I word it like that because it's very simple, it's very direct, and it's very clear. It's clear for our employees, and I hope that it's clear for all of you that see it. This is who Polypipe is, and this is what we are passionate about, best in the world at, and drives our economic engine. Next slide. This is our mission statement. This is a very unique mission statement. It's created by our new leadership team that I just described. Fundamentally, what does Polypipe do? Fundamentally, we create raging fans. Raging fans we are not comfortable with someone thinking, yeah, Polypipe's a good business. It's a good company to work for. It's a good company to buy pipe. We are not content with that. We are not content. The mission is we are not content unless you think we are the very best employer, the very best supplier of polyethylene pipe in the natural gas business, the very best corporate entity in Irwin, Tennessee, where we're located, the very best and the most valued voice in the different industries in which we have them, such as the Plastic Pipe Institute, such as the American Gas Association. In these industries, we know in our mission that we have four key stakeholders. Customers first, our employees are second, they're always, and then we have our markets and we have our communities where we provide comfort. And what's interesting is those communities, we are very clear. We're very philanthropic. Brooke will talk about this in a minute. Very philanthropic to our local communities because we realize that those local communities donate to us their most important assets, which is their dads, their moms, their sisters, their brothers, their children, their parents. Those are the people that are working for us, and we take care of them, and we treat them with a ton of respect and love, and then we expect a lot out of them. And we have a great company because of that. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Great, thanks, Mark. So as Mark mentioned, we have an amazing culture, and I am so proud to share with all of you who are looking for opportunities. And I'll go over those opportunities in just a minute, but you'll see on this slide here, culture is a big deal to us. We've all worked for large companies that aren't as nimble as Polypipe, and the most fun part about working here is being able to succeed. We really take ownership of our business, and we love our employees and we love our customers. So we're driven by our values. We went through an entire value discussion about a couple of years ago to really create and establish values that drive our employees forward. You'll see here on the screen that we won several awards to be the best place to work. We've also won an award as the top workplaces in Knox News, and we are very proud of that. Why are we proud of it? We want our employees to love where they work. We want you to be proud of where you work. We want you to go home to your families and be excited to tell them about the great things that we're doing at Polypipe. And we want you to be able to feel pride when you tell people, I work for Polypipe and this is what I do for a living. We are so involved in our local communities. As Mark mentioned, our manufacturing location is located in Erwin, Tennessee. Both Mark and I live in Houston, but the bread and butter is right here in Erwin, Tennessee, which is where we're at today. We are very involved in philanthropic activities. We actually created a fish hatchery for a local partner here, where we used our pipe to make a fish hatchery, which was really exciting. We also do different types of events like Books for Bucks, where we have a hunting tournament, and we take that money and we donate it back into our local schools. We do Pause for money, where we take individuals who are passionate about the local animal shelters, and we have partnerships there. We are constantly looking for new ways to help our community. It's in our bones, it's in our mission, it's in our values, and we want to do well. You know, one issue that we had a few years ago was recruiting. We couldn't find people anywhere, and maybe some of the other colleagues on the line here can relate. It was very hard to find people in Erwin, Tennessee. We no longer have that issue. People are dying to work at Polypipe, and I am so proud to announce that recruiting is no longer a problem for us. I am excited to share that we have some opportunities. So next slide, please. That we're looking for. So if you are in the local area of Erwin, Tennessee, we actually have 3 positions that we are hiring for. We have a sales engineer, which would be part-time travel, and then part-time here in the office. We have a night shift quality technician, and we have night shift line operator positions. As David mentioned before, many of these roles, you don't need prior experience at all. We will train you. We will invest in your learning. We will invest in you. So if you're interested, we drop the open positions on this chat box. Please review it. Take the time to look us up, and let us know if you're interested by applying. Thanks all.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark and Brooke. I'm going to pass it on over to John, who's going to talk about shallow polymers.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize. I'm filling in for Adam. Adam was set for this, and I was I mentioned earlier, I'm a veteran. I served from 1981 to 1987 in the United States Marine Corps. In North Carolina for a while, stationed in Okinawa, Japan, then stationed over in Camp Pendleton, California, from where I went on a Navy deployment into the Western Pacific, visiting Hong Kong, Singapore, the Philippines, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Australia. are a polymers manufacturer. We make
John, I'm not sure if it's just me, but you're cutting in and out.
yeah, I just had a bunch of silence in my headset. Did you hear anything of what I was saying?
Not after you did your introduction. So once you started talking about shell polymer.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Next slide, please. We make polyethylene. And of course, I'm sure many of you are probably aware of Shell and have seen the fuel stations and have heard about Shell. We started building our polymers plant here in Monaca, which I had the honor of being involved with the construction side of it for 3.5 years. And then once the construction was completed, I was hired on full time. I'm an instrumentation maintenance technician here. And we have 3 polyethylene units. We have an ethylene cracker unit where we take all the hydrocarbons and break them down into the materials that we make polyethylene. We have 3 extruders, 1, 2, and 3, making 3 different types of grades of plastic pellets. So perhaps you've seen the Shell logos around. We're an energy group, but this is a somewhat new venture for Shell, this polymers plant. We're located in Monaca, Pennsylvania, which is just and hockey. It's a bunch of crazy sports lunatics I get to work with every day, and I love every minute of it. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is, not my forte. Like I said, I'm a maintenance technician, but this is basically what Shell is involved with: the sales, marketing, transportation, trading, exploration, development, manufacturing, energy production. Next slide, please. So this would give you an opportunity to kind of just tour our plant virtually. We sit on several acres right along the Ohio River, and that's just ideal. We're in a perfect area for shipping with railways and highways right nearby. We're a very, very big facility. It was just awesome to watch it and be involved with it being built, just how large it is and the scope of how it was built. But go to the next slide, please. So like I mentioned, we're right here in Monaca, Pennsylvania. We're within 700 miles of like the majority of the
John, I think you cut
fruit.
out again. You
Oh,
you started
wow.
to talk about that you were 700 miles, the first part of your location.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's going on with the connection. So yeah, we're located right in the Utica and Marcellus Shale basins, which gives us, plenty of access to lots and lots of natural gas.
John, I think we lost you.
Oh, wow. Shoot.
Let's see, try talking again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I have a wireless headset and I made sure it was on the charger all day, so I hope the batteries aren't going dead. Okay, next slide. So we like to think that we're the plant of the future. We've got some of the most latest technology in our instrumentation, in our safety especially. We just strive to have the safest possible. Our theme is always goal zero. We want zero safety incidences each and every day. We want everyone to come to work in the same condition. We want them to go home each day in the same condition they came to work. Safety is just priority number one here at our plant. We have several different things that help us. We stay connected to our workers, gas monitoring, pipe rack safety, drone monitoring and inspections. Our process control is just state of the art. So we're a very, very safe facility. Really, really good place to work. Next slide, please. So this is basically just a rundown of some of our products. We make pellets that can be made into any type of plastic. We have general things like from hard hats and children's toys to milk cartons to medical syringes, different types of your shrink wrap food products, anything you can imagine, we can make the plastic for that. So to be used in all these different types of manufacturing and fabricating type moldings and extrudings. Next slide, please. So yeah, so that's basically who we are here, Shell Polymers Monaca. We're it's an amazing place to work. It's been the construction side. It was probably the most fulfilling of my career to date, and even the job I have now with Shell is just I love coming to work every day. And I think my military background just plays so well into what we do here, because we do so many type of safety trainings, a lot like we used to do in the military, that you constantly are training and just over like upgrading how to perform your job is just we're constantly being trained in that area. So I guess that would be the end of my presentation.
Thank you, John. What I'm going to do is bring up our presenters again. So I'm going to bring back up myself and Mark and Brooke. Let me get everyone back up here. Bring back up David. We are to the Q&A session. So thank you all for that wonderful information. I think this is one of those industries when you see the logo Plastic Pipe Institute and then the names of your guys' companies, it doesn't do it justice, right? And then when we learn about, when you guys are talking and learning about these companies, the what you do is just very impressive. And I think you guys gave really good explanation of how a plastic pipe is made. Brooke and Mark, your guys' image, the little cartoon image, I think is a perfect display for folks to really understand, the process, because I think that's something that we don't understand going in. So I'm going to read through some of the questions here. Okay. All right, so go ahead and drop in your questions into the chat. I'm going to go through and read them off. I was wondering, let's start with Mark and Brooke about your open positions. Let's talk a little bit. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions while folks drop in their questions. In your company, you said you had an engineer, quality control, and I think operators. Can you give a little more detail on, what does a quality person do at your company? What kind of qualifications are you looking for? Can you talk a little bit more about, those open positions?
Sure. So first, let me start with our most common position, which is our line operator. So as you remember, when we were going through pellets to polypipe to people, we have long extrusion lines. We actually have 7 lines in our manufacturing facility, and we need operators to operate those lines. So from an experience standpoint, we love to see people that are mechanically minded, people that have had manufacturing experience. However, if you have the right attitude, that is most definitely what I'm looking for starters. You have the right attitude, we will train you. We will train you. And so that's one of our very common positions that we have open, and we currently have some openings on our night shift right now. We also have a quality technician, which also we have 4 shifts actually at Polypipe. So we run a 27 24/7 operation. And so we are looking for quality technicians because we have multiple quality stops throughout our process where we need technicians to ensure that we are putting out the best quality pipe. Quality is number one to us, and so we have a lot of rigor around that, and we're looking for individuals that can help us ensure that we get the best quality pipe out the door. And then lastly, our sales engineer, you can kind of think of this position as half sales, half engineering. So this person is going to work closely with our manufacturing facility, really tying out between engineering and outside sales. And so half the time they'll be traveling all over the country with our individual that handles sales for us, as well as technical management. So we're really looking for someone that has that, engineer mindset, but is able to communicate with customers and enjoys those interactions of working with others and really the drive to sell.
So thank you, Brooke. I think that was great information. Help folks understand what y'all are looking for. Since we're talking about, positions that are open, maybe let's talk through interview processes. So a lot of questions, this is kind of general for a lot of our service members ask this, like, well, how soon should we apply for positions? Can you talk a little bit about that process, how long it takes, the steps to it at Polypipe, what is the interview and application process look like?
Yes, thank you. So we have put our open positions in the chat. If you are interested, I recommend applying now. We're actually fairly quick because we talked about that we're a smaller company. We act pretty darn quickly. So if you apply, you are likely to hear back within a week, maybe a week and a half. But the interview process is you'd come in on site to have an interview with us. You'd be meeting with our HR manager as well as the shop supervisor lead. And then you'll have an interview. If you meet those qualifications and pass our first round interviews, then you'll move to have an interview with our manufacturing operations director. And then your last interview and some positions will be with myself or even maybe our engineering.
And Katie, I'd like to add that's fairly consistent throughout our industry from manufacturer to manufacturer as far as the process goes, as well as highlight that a lot of our members are hiring now. So, if you're ready, don't hesitate to get those applications in because, they're obviously have a need and they're looking to fill that need as soon as possible. And it's a fairly fast process.
From both y'all's
and I would also like to say, I was just going to say, Katie, I would also like to mention about 15% of our workforce is veterans, and we want to increase that number, which is why we're here today. We are so thankful for your service. We find a lot of value in our vets that currently are working for us, and we'd love to have more people join us from the military.
So thank you, Brooke, and thank you, David. I think that's important to know the consistencies across the companies, just in terms of the process, and then of course that y'all have veterans at your company already to help folks feel at home when they get there. When it comes to, I know the process may not be very long from application to hire date. But are y'all open? So John included both your companies open to networking and talking with these folks, because with our transitioning military, oftentimes they still have time, right, until they get out of service. And so they're looking to connect with companies ahead of time to kind of get those feelers out, learn more about your company. Is your company open to talking with them before they actually apply to help them better understand fit for position and things like that?
Absolutely. From Polypipe, we would love the opportunity.
And I would say, Katie, to add to that in general, depending on where these individuals are at, we could probably even make connections to where they could come and see what the facility really does firsthand. So just, let me know from an industry perspective where they're looking, and I can try to make connections with manufacturers in that geography.
Yeah, and here at our facility, we have some, like I said, we have instrumentation and electrical maintenance technicians, which are we actually go out and do many of the repairs to all of the electronic devices that control flow, measure, temperature, and level for all of the piping and the vessels and all the process out there. We have analyzer technicians We have mechanical technicians. They mainly do a lot of repairs to valves and pumps, a lot of things like that. And then we have the field operators, and we have board operators that actually monitor daily and minute by minute how the plant is functioning, if there's anything going wrong, any type of alarms. But yeah, we're definitely open to speaking to people before they want to apply. I noticed a couple questions in the chat. One was asking about certificates, and another person was asking about age, about how age. And I can tell you that, I mentioned when I served in the Marine Corps was quite a long time ago. So, I dated myself, but I just turned 61 in April. So I was hired in at 59. So I am extremely humbled and blessed to even be considered for these type of positions at 59 years old. I mean, I was just blown away that I was even accepted. I mean, who's hiring somebody at 59 anymore? It's like, that's when you're, either unless you're a CEO moving from another CEO position, but to be one of the groundwork type guys that's getting hired at 59, it just, I was just blown away that, Shell even, brought me on board, and I'm very grateful for that. So age is not any type of issue at all. If you've got the skill set and if you've got the qualifications, some certifications, they're not necessary, but they're welcomed. If you have attended a 2-year trade school or your vocational schools in high school, that's all very helpful with electrical or mechanical or welding type backgrounds. All that's very helpful and would get considered. We're like a lot of companies. We want someone that's going to show up, that's going to do a good job, and that's going to come back the next day and do it all over again. So yeah, it's very simple.
Awesome. Thank you for that, John. And I think a lot of companies, I mean, there's just so many positions open across our industry. Everyone is welcome. And Brooke, I'm sure you can even speak to it from an HR perspective when it comes to those type of hiring things, if you want to speak to that from an HR perspective as well.
Yes, we are hiring right now, and we're excited to be here. So one of the things I see on the chat over here, and I just kind of want to address, is the people are asking, what characteristics are we looking for? And I think it's very simple. We have 3 values that drive us forward. We're looking for people who take initiative, who take ownership, and pursue excellence. Those are our 3 values. And if you possess those characteristics, we are looking for people like you. We want owners. We don't want workers. We do want you to show up every day and come back, but we want you to feel fulfilled in your job. We don't want this to just be a job. We want it to be a career.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see, I guess from both of you, and then David, if you want to throw in a comment as well. So manufacturing obviously is a very hands-on industry, right? Things are being made and folks need to be in person to make these products. But sometimes there are remote positions that might be available, either from Polypipe or from Shell. Do either of you have any opportunities? Does that exist in your company to have remote positions? And then David, if you want to kind of chime in from the industry perspective, but let's start with our 2 companies, if that's even an option with you all.
So I'll start with Polypipe. We do have a few remote positions. Many of our leaders on our team sit all over the United States, but majority of our employees are currently residing in Erwin, Tennessee. And as we continue to grow at Polypipe, we prefer most of our employees to be in Erwin. And with our current opening, we only have positions available in Erwin. That's not to say that we won't have remote positions in the future, but current state, it's all in Erwin, Tennessee.
John or David, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's very limited in this industry. And Katie, you explained it beautifully in that when you're making something, you have to be there to make it. And that's manufacturing. So you're going to need to be on that shop floor in that facility. And so it's rare. The limited remote positions in our industry really are more sales, because you want a sales individual typically within that geography that they're calling on their clients. But yeah, the vast majority of the manufacturing jobs are going to be at the manufacturing site. That said, again, I do want to highlight that we have members with sites all across the country. So just because it's not in Pennsylvania or in Tennessee here today for two of the members, that doesn't mean that we don't have facilities in Texas or California or Georgia or, Illinois, as I've looked at some of the ones in the chat. So I just need to know where you're looking, and we can try to make a connection in our industry with manufacturers in those geographies.
Yeah, here at our Shell Polymers, our operators are like the hands-on, like maybe kind of what you would consider manufacturing guys. We have field operators and we have board operators, and they're monitoring every bit of the process. So if there's ever a problem, it goes to a console where an operator gets an alarm, and then he dispatches a field operator who actually walks out into the unit and finds what's going on and takes whatever safety measures there may be. Plus the field operators also take readings and make observations and are constantly checking. So although everything's automated and it's a really large like process, but the operators would kind of be considered kind of like manufacturing because they're the hands-on guys that are actually in the unit and observing and taking care of how the process is going.
Perfect. John, I love that. I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. So thank you all for having that that conversation about the remote type of positions, because that sometimes, it's always people are looking for that position, but in our industry, it's just very limited. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But John, you touched on something about the automation when you were talking about, the position. I want to shift on that because something that I hear from a lot of folks who don't know about manufacturing is that we work in dark, dingy warehouses and people are manually screwing on little things, right? That's not how manufacturing is nowadays, right? Manufacturing 4.0 and the automation that has come from that. Can you all talk about how advanced things have become in your facilities? So does robotics exist? What kind of automation? Can we talk a little bit about how advanced manufacturing has become in this industry, in this segment? Is that something, Mark, you want to talk through maybe at Polypipe? John, if you want to mention that at Shell.
Yeah, now there is automation and extrusion technology. It's primarily in the coiling. If you remember the little cartoon diagram we had, there are automated coiling machines that are out there. Polypipe does not have any of those, but I do want to address the dark, dingy comment because I think that's important. Well, one of the things that I say, and in fact, we're here for leadership training in Irwin right now. One of the things that I say repeatedly is if I can get a customer to visit us in Irwin, Tennessee, they will be writing us a PO, guaranteed. Why? Because we have a workshop that is bright, that is colorful, that has very clear. One of the things I say often is people play differently when you're keeping score. If me and Brooke are shooting baskets right now, and we're just having fun playing basketball, and it's all great. If I make a basket and I say 2-0, what is she going to do? She's going to start playing defense. She's going to start playing because people play differently when they know you're keeping score. And so we make sure that everybody at Polypipe knows the score of the game. It's very, very much Irwin, Tennessee cultural. So people know it in a fun way. It does the canoer, does the kayaker down the Nolichucky River? Is he beating out the fish? It is a race, but it's fun and it's clean. And it's very much, if you're familiar with lean technology, 5S is here in spades. So it is very clean. Could eat off of the floor, and so not dark, not dingy, but also, Katie, not a ton of the newer manufacturing 4.0 yet. We will and have considered that technology. That's just not where we're at right
That's
And just to build on that, I would say that's fairly common throughout our industry. I mean, there's still, bolts that need to be turned and switches that need to be flipped and, bundles that need to be wrapped up, forklifts that need to be driven. So while automation is starting to creep into our manufacturing processes throughout our industry, it's still relatively rare. There's still very much a human element involved in the production of plastic piping materials.
So thank you for clarifying that, David. So perfect. I think I've ran through a lot of the questions in the chat. I know there are some questions about locations and things like that. And I think for my audience, I think a best bet, David has his contact information in there. I would check out the member list on the Plastic Pipe Institute website, but connect with him, help him, work with him to locate some companies that are in the area that you are locating or relocating to. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for some final advice from everyone, especially John, since you are prior service as well. As these folks, most of them are prior service or currently, finishing up their position in the military. Do you have any advice, for these folks as they're going out into industry, for them, as they're navigating this process? And John, if you want to speak to your experience coming from the military, any advice to these fellow folks?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned earlier, I was discharged in 1987, so it was definitely a much different economic climate and a different job outlook and whatnot. So, and plus, it was so long ago, I don't think I can remember what my transition was like. I know I went through a time. I spent my time in the Marines as a mechanic. I knew I didn't want to be a mechanic anymore. I had a job as a cement truck driver. And then I was a trucking dispatcher for a while, but I was offered an opportunity to join the trades, the electrical trades. I went through a union apprenticeship. So I've been a union trained electrician for a little over 24 years now. I got started a little late. I had, some other jobs up to that point, but my advice is I would get into some type of trade. Like our facility could really, we use welders, we use electricians, we use technicians, anything like that. Do your best to get into an electrical apprenticeship or a welder's type apprenticeship, pipe fitters, steam fitters, steel workers, anything like that. I think it's just a big help. Just transitioning from the military into the civilian life, I think the things I learned in the military, I see something, in other guys that I know were in military, but we just have a desire to, serve our country. So now we want to serve our employer. We want to serve each other. I want to make the guys around me better workers. I want to make my company a better company by doing, the best job I can do every day. Unselfishness is definitely a trait of a military person. You're serving someone else. So when I take the approach each day, I want to know how I can serve, first my family, and then I want to serve my coworkers and help them do the best job they can do, and then just do the best job I know I can do. From a mental standpoint, but a vocational standpoint, I would suggest getting into some type of apprenticeship type training, or even some type of 2-year school to get the skills needed that would make you a much better candidate than someone without.
Okay, thank you, John. Any advice, Mark, Brooke, or David, as these folks are transitioning into industry?
I think the only thing I would say, I wouldn't have the arrogance to pretend to know all of the difficulties and the challenges that these veterans have gone through, not being a veteran myself. But what I will say is what attracts us to veterans are those people that are process driven, that are disciplined, that work safely, that care about people, as John just said. So our safety culture is so critically important to our success. And the way that we execute that safety program is making sure that we have each other's back, make sure that we recognize in a very real sense that we are loving our neighbor by watching out for them to make sure that they go home to their families with all of the same digits, with all of the same health with which they came, and then process driven. So when you are in interviews, the only thing I would say is focus on those kinds of things. That's what we see. That's what attracts us. And that very well might help you in other interviews as well.
And just to build on what's already been stated, the work ethic, just coming and being willing to work, being willing to learn. We've seen veterans do very well in manufacturing and manufacturing environments, and I think it's a great fit. It's run a little different than the military. We had one of our plants that, if you didn't have Semper Fi on your license plate, I don't think you could park in the preferred parking area. It was very much a Marine location, but you know what? It allowed for similarities in communication. The day-to-day activities, there were some analogies drawn to what they were used to doing. And I think it's a great fit. And our manufacturers are looking for people with your work ethic, with your willingness to learn. And first and foremost, before we wrap up, I just want to thank everybody, whether they personally served or are the spouse, of somebody that served, for that service. So thank you. And as Katie said, please feel free to reach out. We have 2 of our member companies. There's 198 others that I'd be happy to try and make an introduction to for you. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all to my presenters today for taking the time to talk with these folks about this segment of the industry and your specific companies. I know I learned a lot today, and I appreciate all the advice and the information that you provided. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's event. We are nearing the end. So some things just for our participants, our audience members today. After this event, what I highly, highly, highly recommend is explore the websites, right? Go to the websites, look at the companies, go to the member page on the PPI website, and connect with these folks. So if you are interested in polypipe or shell polymers and you're open to relocating to those areas, connect with Mark, connect with Brooke, connect with John, and talk and continue that conversation as you search through the employment at those locations. We'll go ahead and drop in the chat again all the contact information from our presenters. It is, if you go back in the chat, we have it listed. But like I said, explore the websites. Go ahead and connect with them on LinkedIn, connect with our team on LinkedIn, and then, of course, join us next week for our next event as well. So I'm going to go ahead and launch our question, our feedback question. So if you can check that out before you head out today. But any final words from our presenters before we close it out? That's it for me.
I will just echo what David said. We are so terribly grateful from somebody that has not served, had a dad that served. It is just with incredible gratitude that you sacrifice your time, your very lives, your sacred duty and honor, that you do all of that for our country. It is not missed by us. And whether we work together or not, you should feel our gratitude and our appreciation. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mark. As a veteran, I really appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. It was my honor to serve for the millions of good patriots in our country. Yep, something I really enjoyed doing. And if I wasn't at the age I was, I'd do it all. I'd do it again. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again. But that's a wrap. That's it for us this week. Join us next week, Wednesday, July 24th, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern, and we will have another company, Atlas Copco Group, come and join us. So that's it for today. See you all next time.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.